Good morning, Almeria, and welcome to The Right Way with me, David Wright. On today's show, 5 reasons British people struggle when living in Spain. Are you making these mistakes? And how can you avoid the errors they make to enjoy your dream life here in Spain? After living and working in Spain for over 20 years now, I've seen hundreds of British people move to Spain in search of a better way of life. Spain really can be a great place to live and work, and personally I feel I'm truly living my dream life here in Spain, and I know a lot of other British people that feel the same way. But for all those that feel this way and are living a better life here in Spain, there are many that are not so happy here and are struggling here in Spain. I have also seen many fail here in Spain and return to the UK with a lot less than when they moved here. And in a few cases they return to the UK with almost nothing. So today I will outline my top 5 reasons I have seen British people failing to live their dream life here in Spain, and just what you could do now to avoid these mistakes that they have made. Just a quick thank you to the sponsors of my show, Salvador Tax and Legal, who have offices here in Almeria City, Mojaca, and a new bigger office in Allbox, helping people with accounts, tax and all their paperwork. So what are these 5 main reasons and how can we avoid making the same mistakes? Reason number 1, location. Even before you move to Spain, it is so important that you do plenty of research on the areas that will be right for you. We all love holidays in Spain, and most cases British people who move here will have had a few holidays at top resorts in Spain, but is that really where you want to live forever? Being from Brighton on the south coast of England, I loved visiting London and seeing the sights and attractions, but I would never want to live in London, just way too hectic for me. Also, there are some parts of Brighton that are way too touristy for me. Well, the same thing applies here in Spain. You need to think hard on where in Spain you are wanting to live, and what's it like there throughout the year, including the winter months. We all know the beach areas in Spain are great in the summer months and loads going on, but many areas of Spain tend to get very quiet or close down for a few months in the winter, with some shops and bars taking up to 2 months holiday or break. This is what they call the quiet period. When you're getting on a bit, maybe you won't be as mobile or won't be able to drive as much, so just getting weekly groceries could be a challenge. Research is key here, and actually spending some time in the area and place you think is right for you could show you whether it really is a perfect place or maybe not quite right for you. Research a lot and then do more research and try and get it right the first time. You can always move on, of course, later once you've been living in Spain a while, and I have done this several times myself. But it is way more expensive to do so here, with buying and selling costs much higher than in the UK. So worth spending some time trying to get it right the first time. Is that place in Spain really right for you and your needs? Reason 2, the language. Learning to speak Spanish really should be top of the list, and reason 1 why most fail here. But there are places and ways of life that you could lead without needing to speak any Spanish at all. Maybe just staying in British communities is what you want and will be perfect for you. That could be great, but you will always need help in some way with daily tasks like paperwork, bills and phone calls. So you will have to ask for help with this, or even pay to get things done that could be achieved yourself if you learn some basic Spanish. I understand that we Brits may be a little lazy when it comes to learning Spanish. I know I was. And as we get older, it seems to be even harder. Plus, unless you're practicing daily what you are learning, then it will be very slow and difficult to get a decent standard of Spanish. Even before you move to Spain, you should be trying to learn the language to help you integrate more with the Spanish community and way of life, and help reduce some stress that you will encounter if you don't understand what is being spoken to you. It's never too late to learn, and with all the free apps and online courses out there now, it's really not that hard to get started, and this above all else will help you enjoy a better life in Spain more than you will know. Mixing with Spanish people here and speaking to them in their own language will open up so many doors for you here, not just making some new Spanish friends, but getting to experience the Spanish culture and even in my case, finding some work here and gaining Spanish clients for your business. This leads me on to reason 3, working in Spain. Although many British people move to Spain initially to enjoy their golden years and retirement, there may be many that may need to find work in Spain, or even after some time here feel the need to earn a little bit extra to top up their savings here that just don't seem to stretch as far now as they did here once. This is where, again, the need to speak Spanish is so important. Yes, I know you can find work and jobs in Spain even if you don't speak much Spanish. But, and it is a big but, you are limiting yourself and your potential earnings to less than half. Just imagine opening a business of any kind in, say, London, and you only spoke a language that was not that country's main language. How limiting and difficult would that be? And what sort of income could you expect to generate? We all love our local British bars, and some do well here, in the right place. But when I was in the business of renovating bars and restaurants here, I saw so many British people move here to open a bar, and almost all struggled to earn a good living here, and many failed within the first 2 years. Running a bar or restaurant here is very hard work and long hours with low pay. Most of the British bars and restaurants that I've helped to renovate over my 20 years here, I've seen many of the owners work way harder here than they did in the UK. If your Spanish is poor, then this will impact your income greatly in any business that you start here in Spain. Paying staff that do speak Spanish to help you could be a solution, but is often an expensive option. Whatever business you're planning to start here in Spain, research is the key. Choosing the right area probably is the main criteria of getting it right. And is there a market in that area for what you're offering? Is there much or any competition? When I first moved to Spain, I started a building and maintenance company here and went self-employed. And I lived and worked in an area that had many British people. But this was not an area that I really liked that much and wanted to live long term. Going where the work is can be key to generating enough income and clients, so as later you can expand and move on to the area that suits you best. Also, having the right skills that are in demand here in Spain. It's never too late to retrain or learn some new skills or a trade. Many British people are taking online home classes now to learn how to work from home, and local councils now have weekly courses, many of which are free to local residents, so worth checking out these courses at your local council. Number 4, money. We never seem to have enough money, and if you're like me, I'm sure you could always do with a little extra. Living within your means here, or not learning to adapt, is another reason many fail here in Spain. When you first move to Spain, you will probably have a nice lump sum, maybe from a property sale in the UK, or investments and pensions. But this money seems to go a lot less further in Spain now, with everything increasing in price. With all that's going on in the world at the moment, most savings and investments are giving a greatly reduced return for your money now. But there are a few things you can do. As I have touched on this in a few of my previous shows here, and you can catch them on the podcast replays here at the station on my page. It is always a great idea to get some new updated advice from a professional financial advisor here, who is registered and approved to advise you on what's new and best for your savings and investments here in Spain. You could get ideas and ways of making your savings and investments work harder for you here in Spain, or maybe just reduce some costs. Things that you were advised about a few years ago back in the UK may well have changed now in today's economic climate, so there may be better ways to get more for your savings so they could stretch just a little further, or maybe just allow you to buy a few more tappers here. Worth investigating and checking to see if you're up to date. Reason number 5, health. This is a real game changer here, and I've seen so many British people come to a crossroads here with health issues. As we get older, it's important to think hard on this one. If you are a resident in Spain, then you will probably have private health cover or access to doctors and health cover here in Spain. I'm going to give you a real story here now about a dear friend of mine that had to make a drastic decision here about health and how I feel she got it wrong. This is a decision that many British people will come across and may have to make here in Spain in later years. This lady, let's just call her Margaret, moved to Spain about 20 years ago, just a few months before I moved here, and both her and her husband were one of my first British clients here, and became great personal friends of mine over the years. After just 3 years here, Margaret's husband passed away and she had to make the decision to stay or return. She decided to stay in Spain as she had lots of friends here, both British and Spanish. Now Margaret was always out and about, visiting friends and going out for tapas and sightseeing, trips all over Spain. This was a very outgoing lady who really loved living life to the full, and at 75 she started to have a few health problems. Hospital trips were not really a problem for Margaret, as she did speak a little Spanish and she had lots of great friends who helped her. Margaret was worried about if she became really ill, how she would cope here in Spain on her own. We often chatted about this over coffee, and although she loved her life here, she had some family and grandchildren living back in the north of England. In the end, Margaret made a decision to move back to the UK. She sold her beloved house here that she'd lived in for 20 years and enjoyed so much with family visitors and friends. She lost a lot of money on the house sale here, and she bought a small flat in Newcastle near her grandchildren and British family members. For the UK property she bought, she paid way more than she was expecting, but it was near where she wanted to be. I remember after living a few months back in the UK, she called me to say that she thought she had made a big mistake, as the weather was cold, wet and windy, and that she hadn't been out much for weeks now and felt so depressed. Her health was still okay, but she seemed so unhappy. About 3 months later, I learned that she had passed away, and this was so sad for me, as this lady really loved living life to the full here, yet her last few months were so sad. I feel that if she'd stayed in Spain, she may well have become very ill here, and eventually have passed away here in Spain, but at least she would have enjoyed her life right up to the end. We're all going to fall ill someday, and we all have a shelf life, that's for sure. But personally, for me, I feel it's better to be ill in a country where you feel happy rather than where you feel depressed and sad. So are you living in the right place here in Spain? Remember, it's never too late to move or to downsize. Are your savings working as hard for you as they could? And would it help if you were able to speak better Spanish? And just what doors of opportunity could open up for you if you started learning some more Spanish today? Is your work or business really what you want to do in life? Again, never too late to change. And finally, have you taken steps and made plans for later years here in Spain, when your health may be not as great as you wish? Planning now could make all the difference later. Spain is an amazing place to live and work, and so many British people are loving it here. But if you really want to enjoy your life here, then you just need to take a few simple basic steps, and some basic planning and research could mean that you avoid these 5 mistakes that so many seem to make. Remember, I have links to my information sites with experts who can help and advise you if needed. Just message me here at the station if you have any questions. That's it for another show. Up next, it's a Sunday lunch show with Terry Stevens. Thanks for listening and adios.